You can almost feel it in the air in Silicon Valley right now. There's this buzz, this feeling that we're on the edge of something huge. The people actually building our AI future are making some incredibly bold, almost unbelievable predictions about what's coming next, and more importantly, how soon it's going to get here.
First up, you've got Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI. He's out there saying that artificial general intelligence, or AGI, could be here as early as next year. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. 2025.
And it's not just him. Dario Amodei over at Anthropic is saying something very similar, pointing to 2026. So you have two of the biggest players in this whole space pointing to a timeline that isn't decades away, it's just a handful of months. And then, just to dial things up to 11, you've got Masayoshi Son. He's not just talking about AGI. He's talking about artificial superintelligence, or ASI, by 2030. Now, that's a level of intelligence that's not just human-like, it's far beyond us.
So you have to ask, right? Should we believe them? Is this real or is it just hype? And maybe more importantly, what on earth are they even talking about? What do these terms, AGI, ASI, actually mean? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down.
To really get a handle on this, let's use a simple analogy. Let's say you walk into a hospital with some kind of mystery illness. This little scenario is actually a perfect way to understand the three different levels of AI we're talking about. Okay, so first up, you have narrow AI. This is basically all the AI we have today. Think of it like a specialist doctor. It might be the world's best dermatologist AI, incredible at analyzing a photo of a skin rash, but that's all it can do. Ask it to read a blood test? Nope. Understand your symptoms? Not a chance. It's a powerful tool, for sure, but it's a one-trick pony. Next up, we have AGI, Artificial General Intelligence. Now, this is the big goal everyone's racing towards. Think of this AI as the complete human doctor. It can look at your rash, yeah, but it can also analyze your blood work, listen to your symptoms, and connect the dots across every field of medicine to figure out what's wrong. It's not necessarily better than a great human doctor, but the key is that it can do any cognitive task a human can. It can reason, learn, and adapt.
And then there's ASI, Artificial Superintelligence. This is where things get truly wild, almost science fiction. This AI wouldn't just diagnose you, it would analyze your DNA, cross-reference it with every medical study ever published, invent a few new diagnostic techniques just for you, and then design a personalized cure, all in the time it takes you to blink. It's not just a better doctor, it's an intelligence so far beyond ours, we can't even fully comprehend it.
So this is a great way to just boil it all down. The narrow AI says, I can analyze skin. That's my one job. The AGI says, hey, I can do anything a human doctor can do. And the ASI, it says I can solve medical problems humanity doesn't even know exist yet. You see the difference? It's staggering.
So as you can imagine, this whole thing has kicked off a massive debate. You've basically got two camps, the optimists who think we're right on the cusp of this breakthrough, and the skeptics who are pumping the brakes and saying, not so fast.
All right, so let's dig into the optimists' side first. Why do they think AGI is so close? Why the sudden urgency? Well, they believe we're in this perfect storm of progress, all thanks to a few key breakthroughs that changed the game completely.
Their case really rests on three main pillars. First, there was the transformer architecture, which showed up back in 2017. This is the magic behind things like ChatGPT. It gave AI this incredible new ability to understand context. Second, they discovered these things called scaling laws, which is a fancy way of saying they found out that if you just throw more data and more computing power at these models, they get predictably smarter. And third, something really weird started happening. These huge models began to show emergent abilities. They started figuring out how to do things they were never, ever trained to do.
But of course, the skeptics have a very different take on all this. They're looking at the same evidence and basically saying, whoa, hold on a second, everyone. We're hitting some serious roadblocks here.
So the skeptics point to three big hurdles. They say those scaling laws are starting to give us diminishing returns. We're not getting the same bang for our buck just by making models bigger. They also argue that these models still don't have any real, genuine understanding. They're just incredibly sophisticated pattern matchers, not thinkers. And finally, there's the money and the energy. The cost to train these cutting-edge models is becoming astronomical, maybe even completely unsustainable.
So if you strip it all away, the core of the disagreement is actually pretty simple. The optimists believe we have the basic recipe for AGI already, and all we have to do is keep scaling it up. More data, more computers. The skeptics, on the other hand, think we're missing a key ingredient. They believe scaling alone is a dead end and that we need another fundamental breakthrough to get to true intelligence.
Look, regardless of who's right about the timeline, whether it's 2 years or 20, the stakes here could not be higher. When AGI does arrive, it's not going to be some minor update. It's going to change, well, everything.
Let's just talk about the economy for a second. Some estimates say that today's narrow AI, the stuff we already have, could displace 85 million jobs by 2025. Now just try to imagine what happens when you introduce an AGI that can do almost any desk job a human can. We're not just talking about job losses. We're talking about a complete reinvention of what work even means.
But on the flip side, the potential for good is just as massive. Imagine compressing 100 years of scientific progress into a single decade. We could be talking about curing diseases like Alzheimer's, finally cracking fusion energy for clean, limitless power, or finding real solutions to climate change. The biggest problems humanity faces could be solved at a speed we can't even fathom right now.
And of course, AGI brings with it these huge, deeply unsettling questions that we have no answers for. Like, what rights does an artificial consciousness deserve? How do we make absolutely sure it stays aligned with human values and doesn't go off the rails? What is our purpose if we're no longer the smartest things on the planet? And maybe the scariest one, could an AGI improve itself so fast that it becomes a superintelligence overnight?
Which all brings us to the final and probably the most important question of all. With all of this on the horizon, are we actually ready for it?
And you know, the honest-to-God answer is nobody really knows. No one can say for certain when AGI will get here. But here's the thing. While the timeline is up for debate, the direction we're heading in is crystal clear. This is coming. So maybe, instead of getting obsessed with predicting the exact date, the real focus needs to be on preparation. We need to be building bulletproof safety and alignment systems. We need to start having serious, grown-up conversations about what our economy looks like in this new world. We have to figure out how to handle the incredible concentration of power this will create. And above all, we need to approach this whole thing with a massive dose of humility.
Because at the end of the day, it seems like the question isn't really if we'll create artificial general intelligence. It's looking more and more like a certainty. The real question is when it's going to happen, and whether we'll have the wisdom to be ready for it when it does.